Our speaker today is Ms. Angela Meyer, who is the Director of Facilities Management at Southeast Missouri State University. In addition to all of the day-to-day management of the physical plant at Southeast, she also has, in her 3 years in this role, been in charge of quite a bit of construction. If you've been through campus lately, you've seen the academic hall and you've seen the renovation going on there. What you may not have seen is the construction of new dorm and also the addition and renovation of Megillah Hall. The science laboratories are being renovated. There was an addition to that. You probably have read in the paper about future plans for building, and she's going to talk about what's going on now and where we're going in the future. Let's welcome Ms. Angela Meyer.
I'm actually used to talking to 170 maintenance guys without a mic, so I'm going to have to talk quietly, otherwise I'll blur you out. As Joe mentioned, my name is Angela Meyer. I'm Director of Facilities Management. I've actually been with the university for 12 years. Started out in project management and have worked my way up. So the last 3 years has been a little chaotic, a little crazy, and a lot of construction involved in addition to the day-to-day maintenance that we have on campus. So I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of history about the Facilities Management Department, what our mission is and our vision. The goal is to be able to help the student and staff in their day-to-day living, learning, and working experience. So our goal is to be there. I am working strongly with my staff to have them held accountable, teamwork, and constant communication across the board. My staff consists of 7 direct reports. I have an Associate Director for Design and Construction, Ms. Carolyn Figlio. She was just appointed to this position in January. And she is the one that handles the day-to-day construction issues. I get to come in as the heavy when things aren't quite going as well as I'd like to see it go. Associate Director and then Assistant Director is Angie Mitchell. She handles the day-to-day operations of our department, as well as Kevin Mayberry. He's the energy manager. He handles all of the HVAC and supervises the boiler plant. Autumn Gentry is the safety specialist, and then I have 3 supervisors that are over the trades: Terry Major, Tom Lee, and Lonnie Wilford. Construction updates. Everything circled in red is what we are either finishing up, currently under construction, or about to start. So I've literally touched everything from River Campus. Let me see if I got a pointer on this thing. Oh, nope, that's not it. Okay, we'll just go up on the far right-hand corner is the River Campus. We finished up some small projects in the parking lot and within the existing facility, but we are gearing up to actually build an expansion project that houses both academics and res life, and I'll go into that a little bit more detail later. Everything from work at the Alumni Center all the way to a new chiller plant at the north lots of the Show Me Center. So quite a bit of construction across the board. This is a list of the highlight of major projects, anything over $1 million and above. We just finished up renovations for our dining facilities. We've added Starbucks and a Subway in the last year. I can tell you that if you want Subway on campus, you have to wait a good 30 minutes because the students really appreciate having that in Scully. And at the UC is where the Starbucks is located, and we also added on additional dining space because of the need for seating. Academic Hall started last year, and we are in the downhill side of finishing up. The main building construction is geared to complete July 31, and back in the fall, the Board of Regents approved us actually finishing out the dome space, and so we're building a conference room up in the dome, and I will go into some more detail on that with some photos for everybody to see as well. Megillah Hall will finish up in the next month or so, being prepared for summer classes to actually take place, and that project will be done. It was a multi-phase project that allowed us to completely gut the facility and start over and rearrange so that the various departments were better utilizing that space, as well as make it a more user-friendly atmosphere as well. I don't know if any of you have been in McGill, but it was kind of like taking class in a bunker. And so we've opened it up and made it more advanced in technology as well as more student friendly. New student housing will accommodate another 300 students on campus and is currently slated to be completed July 31st as well. And with that project, it is going to house students that are more in the science departments as well as math. The living learning communities will be focused in that direction so that students on that end of campus have a place to live and attend classes. The boiler plant conversion, as part of the bond referendum back in 2010, we actually converted the coal-fired boiler to gas, natural gas. I was operating with one boiler for all of campus and no backup. So I was extremely thrilled a year ago when we completed the actual conversion, and I now have 4 boilers, 3 being redundant. So it gives me the opportunity that if one fails, they automatically transfer to the next boiler. Which after my interim period, and I had the major electrical outage before I even took position as the director, I was very hesitant to say yes when they told me I only had one coal-fired boiler to operate campus. So that was a great project, and we're finishing that up this year. The Show Me Center chiller plant, because we are building the new residence hall, our north chiller plant does not have the capacity to chill this facility, so we are taking the Show Me Center and the Rec Center offline of the existing chiller plant and putting it on a brand new chiller plant so that it will be self-contained. It's also being built to where if we ever decide to move north again and build more facilities between the Show Me Center and the track facility, I have the capacity to do so. The Dempster roof, Kennett roof, every year I try to replace roofs as part of the maintenance plans. A roof project, as it is right now, runs me about $700,000. So trying to manage a $2 million budget and also do maintenance is kind of tricky sometimes. The Houck Stadium Master Plan, if you've been to Houck, the press box is in desperate need of work. And so we are looking at trying to actually, maybe one of these days, gain the money to replace the press box on the south side. And so we're just starting that as a preliminary. Tennis courts is resurfacing of the courts, and then we're working with the city to build restrooms out next to the courts. Multimodal transit is actually in the hands of MoDOT right now. We're working with them on the review process of the plans. And that facility will be a bus station, so to speak, enclosed bus station with restroom facilities and vending services that allow the students to wait for the transit buses while they are sitting there at the parking lots next to the rec center. The alumni exterior restoration is a re-roof, tuck pointing and sealing of the brick, and then we're also putting protection up for the stained glass windows. Right now, the last large storm that we had, we literally had sheets of water coming inside the building as it came through the lead on the stained glass. So we're taking the stained glass windows out, restoring them, putting up protection, and then hopefully have that building tightened up for the next several years. Perryville Computer Lab is just a small computer lab. The Ag Horticulture Lab is a grant project that we'll work on this year. Scully HVAC is part of the bond referendum as well, and we are replacing the entire HVAC system. I had air handling units that were geared up with gutters and downspouts because the insides of those air handler units had rusted out completely and had literally flooded the floor before underneath it. So we replaced 4 air handling units, and we'll finish that project up this year. Various Res Life projects, they have a multitude of projects every year that allow us to go in and update residence halls. Some of them are in Towers this year, and then we have a few over in Dearmont. Towers dining, because of the increase of students, again, we have to renovate the dining space at Towers to provide additional seating. Scully Carpet and Paint Projects is in conjunction with the HVAC project. We just recently finished up renovations of the UC restrooms. Those were original to the facility and quite dated. We'll be building a high ropes course out by the OVC softball field and updating the intramural fields. Then we have campus-wide concrete repairs every year. This year will be a little more challenging because I've got a lot of traffic based on the major projects, and so it'll be a little bit more extensive getting those repairs done. Campus master planning, once we move everybody out back into academic, I'll have free space, so to speak, in various other buildings. So we're working on trying to plan where other departments can move and shift and accommodate the needs for academics. For campus expansion, we're in the design phase. We hope to be out for bid in the next month and a half, but the plans are still very preliminary and we're still working through some details on that. And then the Megillah Hall restrooms. If you've attended a event at the Bedell, there are no restrooms at the mezzanine level or at the balcony level except for one unisex, and so we're actually adding a bank of restrooms for that level. And that's just the major projects. That's not my day-to-day work. So, academic hall. I credit this to the Lawrence Group. They're the consultants that are helping us with this project. This is some of the information that was shared back in 2011 when we were gearing up to start the project. We started moving people out of academic in the summer of 2011, and we started construction in January of 12. The goal here is to replace the failing infrastructure and enhance the student experience while still honoring the history. If you're familiar with Academic Hall, there's quite a bit of woodwork, mosaic tiles, stained glass windows, all of that's being preserved. And the goal is to rearrange some spaces for the functionality of the facility, but at the same time preserve those items that are literally 100 years old. And with the infrastructure, what really got the ball starting with this project was the fact that I had a domestic water line bust in the cashier station in the middle of them working on checks, and had 2 feet of water in the cashier's room. So I think everybody finally got the point that we needed to replace infrastructure and move forward. The level 1 will now be rearranged to where it includes advising and career services, as well as the registrar, student financial aid and accounts, and human resources. And the number 1 is to kind of give you an idea of that was what it was before we started construction. Dark, dingy, low ceilings, basement feel. This is what it will look like when we're done. It says proposed, but that's from the original slideshow. The goal is to open this up. We'll gain ceiling height as well as more of an air feeling, and then also open up the space so that there's a waiting area for student financial services. On this floor as well, if you're familiar with where the registrar and student financial services was, this is going to open up this floor plan. We've taken down the wall between the 2 sections. I can tell you that when we started demolition, we found old tile from when there was a pool in this area. So that was kind of exciting. And the existing, before we started, was a bunch of old furniture and filing cabinets with bad ceiling tiles and lighting. And the goal is to open it up, have a one-stop station where students come to, and then behind that is the office space, where you don't see all the clutter and the students don't have to deal with the day-to-day mess, so to speak. Level 2 is the executive suite, office of the president and the vice presidents, as well as admissions. One of my favorites is this is a very original photo of when academic opened and the grand stairs leading up to the auditorium. Then ADA came along and we put in an elevator. Now we have moved the elevator off to the side. You will actually get off at the mezzanine level on the right-hand side, and we've opened the staircase back up to its original appearance so that we are taking it back to what it was like 100 years ago. Then on admissions, they had a tour room that was consistent of chalkboards and dated furniture, and we are now going to make a living room feel. And when you come up the steps from the northwest side, you will enter more of a living room style tour room that will be furnished with electronics and marry up with the finishes of the rest of the facility. Level 3 is actually academic space, and then the accounts payable, controller, and budget office. The academic space, we're moving the Department of Communications over to Academic Hall, and we'll have classroom space and faculty office space on this floor. The unique part about this is when the Board of Regents approved doing the dome fit out, we needed a staircase. Probably many of you haven't been up in the dome, but originally it had a spiral staircase made of rickety wood, and you had to be a toothpick to fit up it. So now we're actually opening up. This was an office before, and we are going to create an actual staircase up to the dome to where anybody and everybody has an opportunity to visit. And then when you get up, that's what you'll see inside. The actual fit out of the dome, you will see the dome structure and the wood construction. The ceiling will consist of a glass ceiling that allows you to see up into the dome. And then this is just a couple of shots during construction, and then the actual copper being finished up on the dome. So a lot is happening with Academic Hall. It's very exciting. It looks beautiful inside. Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is there still going to be a way to get from the dome observatory room up to the top
catwalk?
of the dome? To the catwalk?
Yes, there will be. There is actually a spiral staircase within the conference room that will take you up to the catwalk. You'll exit through the glass ceiling component, and then you'll be at the level of the catwalk. All of the chalk writing that is on the dome wood is going to be preserved and will remain. And that's the purpose of having that access to that, is the history behind everything that's been written up there. And that's pretty unique in and of itself. So anyway. And there's some pretty spectacular views as well when you get up there and look out of the round windows at the catwalk level. So. Okay, Megillah Hall, science facility. This was the before picture. General goals were very similar to that of Academic Hall. It was a dated facility with failing infrastructure and poorly organized for student and faculty use. So this is just kind of a list of the things that we were focused on as our goals. The basement floor was just a reorganization, and it kind of gives you a guide of which department has what. We moved all of biology onto the first floor, as well as some of shared space and physics. We also added on to the facility on the north side, and that is a shared computer lab as well as mechanical space. The second floor consists of all of your chemistry and your shared space, and then the agricultural space as well. We've opened up areas that are the tan ones for student use. There was no student lounges in this facility, so we've provided student access through that, as well as just bringing in natural light. This building didn't have a lot of natural light coming in, so we've done that as well. This gives you a little bit of a look of what it's going to look like when I get rid of the construction fencing and move the contractors out of the way. And then this is the rendering that was done. The addition's done. It's been up and operating, and this is what it looks like. I just didn't have a photo to plug in here yet. Trainer Architects is the one that helped us with the new residence hall. This is their watercolor rendering of the facility. Scheduled to be completed this summer. It will house roughly 300 students on this end of campus, and provides quite a bit of nice space for the students from this side. We will have 184 parking spaces when we're all done with this project. Some of it will be for students coming and going from the science facilities, but some of it is designated for the actual residence hall. The first floor is your hall director and living quarters and mechanical space. The main entry off of Greek Drive is going to be your student lounges, your laundry facility, and student rooms, as well as office space for Res Life. And then the third floor, or the second through fourth floors, are all resident spaces. And that's the major projects. No, I don't have anything for River Campus to show you, but that's because we're in the midst of trying to figure out the design. So does anybody have any questions on the big projects? Yes.
Moving the mass comm department to academic, are there any just way out there future plans for Grau?
We've looked at it from a standpoint of the campus master planning, but nothing significant. My concern is that Rose Theater is sitting empty right now and has a lot of potential, but a lot of finances are being plugged into these bigger projects right now, and there's nothing in the books to update that facility. And MassCom will actually stay in Grau. It's the communications department as far as speech and things like that that will be heading over to academic. So, yes.
Will the copper dome be coated to preserve the copper color, or will it be allowed to oxidize to the green copper oxide?
It will be allowed to oxidize on its own. So if you go to the north side of campus, it already looks black from that side, but from the south side, it's still that shiny copper penny look. I get the question from the executive staff many times on when can we see it turn green. I don't have an answer. That's natural. I can't, unless I put chemical on it and force the issue, it's on its own. So yes, at this time, it is planned that we will let that go on its own and watch the transition happen. Yep.
So why not coat it? Is there a way to coat it to prevent the oxidation?
There is, but I think the desire is that it will eventually be green like it is now. So
People think it looks better green than copper.
I don't know that I have a good answer for that.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no, I get a lot of feedback both ways. You know, can we hurry up and make it turn green to, how long can we keep it that shiny copper penny look? So I guess it just depends on what your thoughts are, so, yes.
I'm curious about what's your background?
I'm a licensed architect. I graduated from the University of Illinois with a four-year degree in architecture and worked for an architectural firm for 6 years before I joined the university. And I have 3 beautiful children at home that if I'm not busy enough at work, I'm falling around 11, 7, and 14 month old. So.
What were you doing prior to taking the big job?
I started out at the university as project manager, so I was handling some of the smaller projects, and then I moved into the associate director position over design and construction. Worked my way up. So, what I do miss is not getting to use my license like I'd like to use it. I'm an administrative part of it now, so I like the design end of my job, but that's few and far between.
I understand they're going to use some of the bricks from the handball court in the new dorm at the River campus.
Yes, that is being discussed. Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
don't have actual plans on where they'll be?
But we've talked about utilizing them in the corridor and around the entry point, designing the entry to have the look and feel of the handball court, but none of that has been finalized yet. So, but yes, the goal, we have preserved 13 pallets of the brick.
13?
Yes. So, and they were very soft brick, and we had to palletize them and put craft paper between and only stack them so high because they were literally crushing as we were taking them down. So, yes.
Are the red halls all suite style now? Are they still?
No, not all of them. Cheney and Dearmont are still your traditional big, large rooms with public showers, so to speak. Merrick, the new residence hall, Vandiver, those are all your suite style. The River Campus project is more of an apartment style. It actually provides a kitchenette and a living room space within the rooms or within the suite. So we're kind of gearing it for more apartment style housing with this project. So I think there's a wide variety. Dearmont also allows for singles. So if you choose not to have a roommate, you can have a single and go that route too. So.
I think I've heard that Cheney's going to be taken off.
Yes, we have discussed that, but we do not have a timeline at this moment. We're hoping with the new residence hall as well as the River Campus project, we'll start to see where we're at with the number of residents on campus. Cheney is not ADA accessible. It is not sprinkled. It has a lot of, if I begin any sort of renovations, it's going to be pretty extensive because it doesn't meet current codes. So we're looking at that coming offline, but not, at least not this year. So, but yes, that would be accurate. Anything else?
How many beds are there in Cheney?
Cheney, that's an excellent question. Maybe 100? It's not that many. And it tends to, and those rooms are like literally 3 to 4 students in a room. They're just large rooms, not set up in your current residence style, so. Yes.
How many students live at the hotel on I-55?
Let's see. They have 2 floors, I think, that they're renting out, 75 maybe, somewhere around in there. So I know they didn't have quite as many contracts this year as they did last year. Anything else? I appreciate your time today. Thank you.